Hi, and welcome to today's live chapter reading of Auctioned Billionaire Bodyguard Series Book 3 by V. Mari, sponsored by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Damien. I walk out of the upscale high rise, which houses one of the most exclusive restaurants in Chicago, and slide into the back seat of the sleek black limo. It's one of the many perks for being top security to the billionaires we protect. Evers, one of the team drivers, knows exactly where I'm going without me saying a word. Home, alone, just like every night, unless, of course, the mood strikes to let off a little steam at the local BDSM club. But that's the last thing on my mind tonight. Evers is winding his way slowly through the brightly lit streets and congestion of Chicago when my cell dings with an incoming message. The beautiful young woman who I've been looking for have had numerous members of our intel team working round the clock to find is staring at me through the screen with a wide set of brilliantly colored green eyes. Brianna Foster, Jenny Torziel's niece, the one who's been an enigma, the one I've been assigned to find by Brian Carrington, one of the richest men in the world and Jenny's extremely protective boyfriend. The niece that is now sitting on the lap of a man old enough to be her goddamn father, sliding around his groin as he places money in her skimpy little showgirl top, which looks like any minute it's going to slip right the fuck off. A moment after the picture arrives, the security team sends an address. Unfucking believable. She's still in the city, but the address of the bar this picture was taken from is at least an hour or so away with traffic. I give Effers the directions, and he quickly flips directions at the next intersection, and we begin making our way to the other side of Chicago. When Brianna first went missing almost 3 weeks ago to the day, Brian asked me to find her, and every single lead we got came empty. Jenny described her niece as smart, shy, and a hard worker. She was in her last year of college, living in Jenny's rental house close to the university campus when she disappeared. I was beginning to think we were never going to find her, and here she is, right under our damn noses. I shake my head, glancing at the picture on my phone. She definitely doesn't look like the innocent I thought she was, that's for goddamn sure. I'm relieved we found her, but a part of me is irritated that I spent so much emotional energy worrying about her when she doesn't look like she's a fucking care in the world. Intel sends messages after message, and 10 minutes later, I have an entire photo album filled with images of this little seductress, the one I'm apparently supposed to save from herself. In one of the next pictures that arrives, Brianna is sitting on a different man's lap. I let my gaze travel down the length of her unclothed spine, taking in the lacy material of her thong decorated ass, cheeks unable to help admiring her sleek fitness and form. I haven't been able to get this woman off my mind for weeks, and the next picture they send leaves me absolutely riveted. Brianna's dark brown shoulder length hair is wispy and swirls around her. Her long bangs frame her heart shaped face, showing off those incredibly large doll like green eyes, the very ones that seem to burn right through the camera and straight into my own, making it almost impossible to look away. When we reach the club, I tell Evers to wait for me in the car. I should have followed protocol and called for backup, but I don't want anyone else to see Jenny's half naked niece in this sordid little club. I'm also fairly certain that Brian's not going to want any of this leaking to the public. I walk up to the small building and stop at the door to pay, waiting for the man to ask me for a form of identification, but that never comes. Clearly, it doesn't matter how old you are as long as you pay the fucking cover. I peel off a 10, hand it to the burly dude at the door, and he marks my hand with some cheap ass stamp allowing me to enter the seedy little joint. I scan the relatively small and dimly lit bar looking for Brianna. A tall blonde is on a semicircular stage, dressed only in a lacy white G string, and the men around the bar are hooting and hollering, encouraging her to take it all off. But the woman I'm looking for is absolutely nowhere to be seen. I slowly head for the back, checking nonchalantly to make sure I'm not being observed before slipping through the door, down a small hallway and towards the sound of women's laughter. I turn the corner and the door is wide open. It's immediately clear I have unintentionally entered the establishment's high-end dressing room with one mirror, a little sink, a few metal lockers hung on the dirty yellowing walls, and a line of ladies in various states of dress. A tall brunette dressed in a pair of red lace panties with matching pastries plastered to her breast and red spike heels bats her stark black fake eyelashes at me as I survey the room searching for Brianna. Well, well, handsome, did you come for a private show? I'm looking for a friend. You need to get out of here before someone comes back here and finds you. I'm not leaving without the lady, I say, walking towards the half naked broad. As I get closer and the light shines down on her face, it would take a blind man not to notice the fading bruises just underneath her eye and the caked on makeup she wears intended to cover it up. She physically cringes as I get close, so I step back, not wanting to frighten her further. I'm not here to cause trouble, just looking for the girl. Mister, you better leave now, or all hell's going to break loose for you and for us. Get the fuck out. Our lives are tough enough, the brunette says, all the ladies nodding their heads in agreement. I'm empathetic to their situation, but I came for a reason, and I haven't found her yet. I walk a little slower this time, approaching the ladies, slowly showing them the picture on my phone. Anyone know her? If so, I'll make it worth your while. How much you talking, Pappy? A beautiful woman with dark, wavy, lush hair, wearing only a pair of red spike heels and the same color smile asks. I don't get a chance to tell her before the blonde next to her elbows the woman in the arm. You take that money and we're all gonna pay for it, Layla. The blonde woman glares at me through bloodshot eyes. Get the fuck out, she says. I pull out a roll of bills and start counting them off 100, 200, 300, 400. When I reach five, the one they call Layla steps forward. They're right. Get out. We can't have any trouble, she says, glancing fleetingly upward. I follow her gaze but just briefly. The sons of bitches have a camera on the girls, and I can't tell if Layla is looking to them for help or trying to warn me that they exist. I'll go. I just thought someone might have seen her. Clearly, I've come to the wrong place, I say, deciding to slip out before someone comes to physically remove me. I steal down the hall and have just ducked behind a closed door midway when a barrage of boots passes me, making their way toward the dressing room. This is turning out to be more than a crappy night. I slip back down another hall and make my way out the side door of the establishment, walking a good half mile before sending a text to Evers with my location and instructions to pick me up. He pulls into a little area partly secluded by hedges, and I jump into the back seat after checking to make sure there are no signs of anyone trailing me. Let me see if I can get another car and do a little recon, I say to Evers, who just nods. I text Keith, one of our security team, who is always in the city when not helping to protect Jenny and Brian, to see if he can get a Q car sent to our destination as quick as possible. He responds, letting us know he has a friend a few blocks away with an average looking car that was just completely overhauled and modified with an amazing engine and lots of power under the hood. I then text Matt, who protects Jenny much of the time, to tell him we have a lead on her niece. He responds, offering his help since he and Marina are still in the city and staying at his condo, but I'm good for now, and let him know that I'll call if help is needed and to go have fun with his fiance. Roger that. I smile, happy my friend has found someone he cares about. I'm skimming Intel messages when a dark blue Honda drives up and brakes hard in front of us. The right rear bumper is caved in, but the lights work great, and it's exactly the kind of car that will blend in wherever we need to go on this side of town. Stay here. Young friends of Keith's walks up to me and hands me a set of keys. I'm Garrett. Keith said you'd be in a hurry. I can stay here until you get back, he says. I open the limo door for Garrett to jump in. Hang out with Evers until I return. I'm sure the two of you will have fun, I say, winning me a glare from one of the grumpiest drivers I've ever had the personal experience to know. I head to his car, veer off toward my destination. When I'm near the little dive bar, I turn off my headlights, inch my way forward, guided only by distance illuminations cast over an otherwise pitch black lot. I park in the back, facing the entrance, so I can watch who comes and goes. It's almost 3 hours later, after the majority of patrons have left, that a few of the lights go off in the back of the bar. A couple women come out with men who escort them to different vehicles. A few I recognized from the bar, and they're surrounded by shady looking fuckers who put them into the back seat of an old beat up Cadillac. But none of them are who I'm looking for. Layla, the dark-haired beauty who was more than willing to take my money, doesn't come out until all the lights go off, and when she does, it's with the arm of a tall, bald guy wrapped around her. He walks her to a vehicle and roughly draws her in for a kiss while grabbing a handful of ass. I picture her turning around and slugging the slime bag, but she doesn't do any of the kind, just accepts his handling of her until he walks away and gets into the silver Porsche parked in the furthest corner of the lot. By the looks of that car, I might have just found the ringleader and his main squeeze. Maybe I can convince Layla to tell me where Brianna is and sell this guy's no good ass down the river at the same time. I text Evers with a description of Layla's blue, souped up Camaro and tell him to follow her when she hits the main road. I wait a decent amount of time before heading out of the parking lot and onto one of the side streets. It takes all of 5 minutes before he texts me with their coordinates. He turns off to avoid getting noticed, and I take his place. I pull up near Layla's apartment building and slide into a parking lot across the way, observing as she climbs the steps of a building with 6 units, three on each floor, and enters the one on the end. I've seen a lot of dumps in my day, but this complex looks like it may just collapse at any moment. I check my lock and make my way to her apartment, listening closely at the door before trying the knob. It's not locked. I open the door as quietly as I can, taking in the little box television from the 90s sitting on top of an overturned cardboard box and a faded plaid couch across the room. Takes less than 6 steps to make my way across the minimum living space and to the door that must be the bathroom. I knock, intending to wait for her to come out, but instead she tells me to come in. I turned the knob slowly, walked through the door, fully expecting to surprise Layla, but instead, the wispy haired brunette with deep green eyes that I've been searching for is leaning against the back of the tub, concealed with white bubbles except for the very pink tips of her breasts, which are floating seductively along the surface. Brianna starts lowering herself in the water. Who are you and what do you want? My name's Damien. I'm here to take you home. Your mother, your aunt, and your family are all worried that something terrible has happened to you. She gazes up at me with those round, doll like green eyes and then sticks her pink colored toenails out of the bubbles, placing them on the ledge while taking me in from head to toe. I don't have a family unless, of course, you want to be my tatty, she says, licking the bottom of